Hi everybody, this is Michelle from Half the National Average, and I'm so happy to come to you with habit hack number 61. If you were able to look at the Necker cube that I posted earlier in the day, if you didn't, go back and either look at it on mine, or you can look at it, pull it up on the computer, and you'll see it's kind of an optical illusion. And what it does, it demonstrates what happens when you're exposed to ambiguous stimuli. Your brain will flip back and forth to, actually on the Necker cube, 3 different viewpoints. You have a 2D viewpoint, and then you have 2 variations of a 3D viewpoint. One where the cube is laying on its side, and one where it flips and then you're looking into the top of the cube. And then it'll flip back, and then it'll flip back. And it's a really super cool brain trick, because what will happen eventually is your brain will subconsciously or consciously, you will pick a preference. And then when your brain picks a preference, it'll automatically linger on that preference longer and longer and longer. It'll be harder to flip over to that other preference or that other viewpoint. So why is this habit hack number 61? Do you guys hear that? Pow, pow, pow. That's just my neighborhood. Don't worry, that's not guns, I don't think. It might be guns, but they've been doing fireworks, celebrating. You know, in my neighborhood, we always celebrate everything. I don't know what we're celebrating, but something's being celebrated out there. Probably the Necker cube. That's what I'm thinking. So the reason why it's habit hack number 61 is because when you are starting a new skill and you're trying to create a habit, so today's title of 61, the habit hack for 61 is rage for a goal that makes sense. So when you're creating your long-term goal and then your little short-term goals that help you get to your long-term goal, it's very important that you realize that your brain is going to be influenced because you have no idea of what your ability is or your talent is in this new skill set, or maybe you do have a tiny bit of an idea, but you really don't know how far you can take it. My encouragement to you is try not to allow your brain to get a preference to somebody else's idea of what success looks like. That is going to be, excuse me, difficult. Oh, my water's way back there. That's going to be so difficult, but you can do it. You can do it. And a perfect example is there was a study, and it's a super cool book. Where is my book? I'm not giving away that book, but here. This is a lot of the information in today's habit hack is on Daniel Gilbert's book, Stumbling on Happiness. It's super good. I highly recommend it if you are a reader. But there was a study that he talks about in where researchers took volunteers and they asked these volunteers to first define what talent is. And so they took, I think it was 14 different descriptions of what talent was to them. And then they took those same volunteers and said, okay, now grade yourself against those 14 definitions of what talent is. And they got scores, and these are big groups of volunteers. And then they took second group of volunteers, and these were called, so the first group were called the definers because they defined talent. The second group were called the non-definers because they didn't get to define the talent. But they still graded themselves against the 14 criteria. And so when they graded themselves, they obviously graded themselves poorly or more poorly than the definers. Now, why? Because we have this innate, I don't know if it's called ability, but we have an innate way that we look at things. And when somebody asks us to define something, we automatically define it in terms of what we're good at. So this could be really hard with people that are defining what promotions look like or defining what hiring action looks like, because we're automatically biased to what we're good at, which is why sometimes teams become very unequal, right? Because we look at what we're good at and then we define success as that, and then we keep looking for law of similarity, people that we're just like. Now this becomes dangerous when you're creating a habit for a new skill set or something that you're really trying to get good at, because what if their talent is not your their talent? And what if your definition of success is completely different? Because they're going to define it what they're good at. And so I give you a really cute little story. I've always liked it, where the piano teacher is asking a little kid, hey, do you play piano? And the little kid says, like, I don't know. And the piano teacher's like, what do you mean you don't know? He's like, I've never tried. That kind of like openness to, maybe I can play piano, I never tried. That is what I'm asking you to create your goal. When you're creating your, I want to make sure I have time. So when you're creating your goal, if you're going to rage to master, it has to be something you're passionate about, and don't limit it to other people's definitions of what it looks like. We do it all the time because we respect other people's opinion, but I remember this is a long time ago, and there was a speaker. He came, this was like UPS day, so girls, you know, all my girls from UPS, you know that was a long time ago. But he came and he spoke, and I never forgot about it, because he wanted to do a double Ironman, and he'd never done one before. And so, you know, all the elite athletes, they had their teams, and they had whole, you know, vans that would go by, and they would hand them food, and they would fix their bicycles and all of that stuff. And this guy, he's like, I just wanted to finish. That was my only goal. I wanted to finish, and I wanted to finish without stopping. Like, I didn't want to stop. I mean, that, you know, I knew I wasn't going to beat anybody. So he goes on this is the first time he does his double Ironman. Now, since then, they've done double, triple, you know, they do ultra, but this is a long time ago. And so this guy said, later on when he saw the news, he said it was hilarious because, you know, it was like his brother-in-law passing him, you know, like protein bars. When his bike would break, he had to be out there like fixing his tire. And but the main thing is he never stopped, and that was his goal. His goal was never to stop. But what he didn't see is the news media. So the news media was saying, who is this guy? He's going to kill himself. The pros, which he didn't know, he didn't do his research very well, they all stopped. Nobody had done a double Ironman without stopping before. And so his perception of what was possible, his low was their high. And he actually broke a world record on his very first double Ironman. And I never forgot that, because that is what can happen if you allow somebody else to define your ambiguous stimuli. So don't do it. Try not to do it. Now, later on, we will need to talk about the need for a good coach if you want to get really good, and the need to, if you're going to really rage for mastery over anything, you are going to have to get way out of your comfort zone, and you are going to need to get a little bit of help. But if you're setting your long-term goal, be more like Elon Musk. Fire the people around you that are trying to define they're trying to create their limitations on your ambiguous stimuli. So just like Necker's Cube, you're gonna have a preference, but let your preference be more limitless than limited. I don't know. That's my habit hack today. Tomorrow's is gonna be Jeff. I have read chapter 28, and super relevant, right? Because we can also set goals so that we can use our fear aversion in our favor. So that will be tomorrow's, but I have to think a little bit more about it. So today's goal, just be careful about what your long-term goal is. Make sure that you're not limiting yourself with dumb limitations that you just don't know what your capabilities are until you get deliberate practice in and actually do it. Today's giveaway, oh, good, I have plenty of time. Now this is a happiness project, and I was wondering if maybe she had some influence on my ambiguous stimuli of my project, because the happiness project, she researched happiness, Gretchen Rubin, and she was an attorney. Well, I guess she still is. I don't know if she's not practicing. She's a writer now. But it's such a great little book. And every month she did something new. What her research showed brought happiness. And so she did that for years. So very similar, right? I like it. I like things like that. I like big, long projects that take enough time so that you can really delve into what's possible. So this is yours. If you want it, just join this project. Tag a couple people and DM me and come pick it up. All right, see you guys tomorrow.